Really good meeting coming out of Riccarton tomorrow. The track is a dead 5 and the rail in the true position. Matt Cross, not an easy way to start the day. Rating 72, 2,000 metres. At least there's a form line between Smokehouse Bay and Takira, but I thought still a tricky race.
Lady Bealey at $6 up the top of the book. Jason Tan gave us a good push for this horse on the show. Gets 3 kilos off, quite well in. 360, probably short enough Smokehouse Bay, and T. Kawera at $3.60 with that couple of kilos off. Simple as this, Michael. 1, 2, 3, box them up in the first of the day, 2,000 metres. Often have seen that the best horses will win these 2,000 metre races at Riccarton, so the 3 best horses, hoping that they run 1 and 2.
3-year-olds on the track over 1,400 metres for the second on the card. Really even form contest. And look, I know our Hail Mary's been good in the North Island and Jonathan Parks comes south, which really helps, but there's a bit of form here. There's some horses here who are going to win their 3 or 4 or 5 races. I'm not sure I'll be taking $1.90 for her because I do think there's a couple of better $1.90 chances later in the program.
There's a $9 chance in here in the form of Kaimar War, number 4. He was unlucky last time, and I think he's just taken that month or so longer than a couple of these other 3-year-olds that were competitive in those Guineas races just to come to it. Wide barrier draw 1,400. Don't look at that as it's being too much of an advantage. There's plenty of speed to his inside, and with the 13 next to his name, you might get some value. So Kaimar War from an informed Lance Robinson stable on the each way, but it's probably one of those My Sky races where you go back through it and through it and through it. A horse like Clooney at double figures goes quite well. There'll be winner after winner to come out of this.
I like the each way there for Kaimar War coming out of those strong 3-year-old races in the south. 2-year-olds, good to see them racing on a Saturday for 22.5 out of Riccarton. I like the breeding of one here, Touch Your Beal. It's not a 2-year-old family, but Savabeel had a final touch. There's a little bit of class about that. Still, there's a lot of improvement to come from some of these horses. It depends on who improves the most.
I don't know about Touch a Beal, $2.80. I thought it had its chance last time to run on better than what it did. 1,000 metres. Look, I don't know that we need to be racing 2-year-olds over 1,000 at this time of year. I would have thought that 1,200 from a betting proposition would be better. He's got power up the top of the book, $17. Remember this horse, he won himself a couple of jump outs early in the season, came to the races, things never panned out for him. He's come back. I just remember seeing him as a type, very, very similar to Gift of Power, quite rounded, low to the ground, covers the ground well. So it's $17. You might laugh, but we each way on it.
One of my better each way bets of the entire weekend, Australia here, anywhere, is in the next on the card. This is the 4th over the 1,400 metres, and rating 65, I really like Super Static. The line in the sand for me was $4.50. You're getting 5.5. Good enough to beat serious horses like Air Max 4 starts ago. Emily Margaret last time it raced against. Okay, I didn't beat it, but those sort of horses in this sort of grade would just stand out. Again, Chris Johnson, who will win the Jockeys Challenge. Doesn't matter what you hear in the next 24 hours, back him in the Jockeys Challenge and take the small fish. I love this odds, 5.5 for me.
Well, it's midweek form with weight, v stakes form under 55 kilos with Chris Johnson. You're getting $5.50. Can clearly see why you're getting a push for that. Carson River up the top of the book, former pike runner, came to the South Island, obviously a beautiful, strong horse. First run back in 65s. Team Pittman, 3 kilos off. Just a wee each one, but very respectful around your thoughts of Super Static.
I find the 1,800 metre races at Riccarton one of the harder ones to bet into because it attracts the milers who are going, okay, we can stretch, or the 2,000 metre horses who can go, oh, well, we can probably cop that too. I find them tricky to bet into, and this is indicative of that because it's 5.5 the field, but a stack of winning chances on that page.
Yeah, Just Push plays so good in his last couple of runs. He's stepping up in trip to 1,800. They put the winkers on him last time and he was very good. 550 for him. V12's an interesting runner. It's second up in the south and they're bringing it back in trip, one of those horses that you talk about. And he looked pretty sharp when he came to the races first up in the south. Satarist isn't the worst. Jonathan Parks doing the riding and Jason Tan keen on Thailand at $6. I'll go Just Push play, but to be fair, it's not a race I want to bet into.
Okay, the Seaton Family Memorial Hararata Cup is, again, over the 1,800 metres, and it does bring those milers and the 2,000 metre horses together. There's no doubt the best horse in the race is Boots and All, but Oropuki Lad has been a horse who's come an awfully long way in a short space of time, dropping back from 2,600 metres to 1,800 metres. The key here, can Leah Hemi get it on the speed?
Yeah, that's going to be the question mark. If not, who is going to have the best turn of foot and under what circumstances are we seeing the race run? If they scoot along a bit early, then they back off and Boots and also able to take a position. I think he'll be too fast for a couple of these horses. I've no doubt genuine straight line speed. He's one of the quicker horses in the race. Bloodstream has the blinkers on. I just have that concern around Oropuki Lad that some of these milers might just be a little bit too sharp for him. He'll be better over 2,000 metres.
It'd also be tricky what to do training-wise, going from 26 to 18. Do you freshen them right up, or do they need to be fit enough? Because you're talking still a 150 gallop, so it's not going to be easy. It's a tricky race. If he can win this, he's a horse who maybe is going to sneak his way to the North Island at some stage.
There'll be plenty of money in the pools by that stage of the day, so there should be some good punters that we might be able to see some sort of a price come inward or outward, so it'll be a good race to watch the market.
When you talk about money coming for horses, the one horse I think in the whole of New Zealand tomorrow they're going to come for is Gift of Power. $1.90 will not last. They love her, they love CJ. I know this sounds like a Chris Johnson fan show, but tomorrow it may well be. I reckon she jumps, I reckon she wins. She's a sub 1.8 horse. The last couple of defeats have been in the Railway and the Telegraph. She picks herself, and I think it'll close $1.60. Yeah,
this market, this is a very good market. 190, she's the bet of the day for me. Had 200 to win on her as a part of the bank bets. $1.90. I'm going to mention Vendima though, just one more time. Last time out race wasn't run to suit. They need to go that first sectional half to 3/4 of a second quicker than the last sectional to bring her in it. If it's the other way around, she'll look like she's going to loom up and win and just die on her run. They really need to go hard.
Surely here they're going to run home in 33.5, 34 seconds. So how's she going to come from behind it?
Well, that's the question mark. They need to go harder early. That's what I'm saying, is she is a very, very talented animal if they run that first section so much harder than the late section, but she just hasn't had that race run to suit her. She's a smart horse, Vendima, one to watch. I don't think she'll be winning this. Gift of Power will be, though.
Best bet. You almost could have had
maximum up the
You
top.
could have almost had that for this stablemate, same rider in the next race. Contessa Vanessa, gee, she's thrown in here. 56 kilos, set weights and penalty suited beautifully. But there's horses here on 55 kilos, like the Sparkle, who have won 2 races. And that's not insulting the Sparkle. She was 4th in a 1,000 guineas, but these horses have been knocking around in rating 65, rating 72. Yes, Residential is a very good horse, we know that, but none of these horses have competed at the level Contessa Vanessa has. Was in a race 2 starts ago at Hawke's Bay, couldn't win behind Passing Shot. Inside was on, they went slow, kicked home, she just was good in third. Then very unlucky at Ellerslie. Again, like the stablemate, Gift of Power, she just picks herself. The reason I'm not as keen on her $1.90 as the other $1.90 is because she hasn't won for a long time. Whereas Gift of Power tends to win, well, she got 11 or 22. So I think she'll win, and it's really hard to make a case for anything else. But you like Zentessa a place.
You caught her first up in a really good field. It was won by He Can Fly, Nowhere Man was in the same race, and I like that form in terms of it stacking up since then. Second up, they tried her up over a little, they tried her at 1,400 again, and she's stepping up in trip now, which I like. Daughter of Zed's, 2 runs back, hitting the line well. Probably more of a spec than anything. You'll get a sight with this horse.
One of the better grades for punting in the moment in the South Island is the rating 72 1400s on the Saturdays in particular. Very strong. There's a lot of form coming out of this. Like Tualana is back. Jim's Gift has been good in the south, in the deep south, finding the line. The Swiss Maestro's interesting. Gets a 3 kilo claim here. Good enough to win at the Carnival at Trentham. And there's a lot of form here. And these are horses who, in 3 or 4 or 5 starts, in the right southern mile sort of open class race would be chances. We saw that recently with horses who have come out of these rating 72 1400s, get to the mile and be dangers in those open class miles. So tricky form puzzle, and I thought Nuclear Fusion, to be honest, at 4.2 was a slight bit of unders.
I'm just not sure how Final Say, excuse me, is $7 and Hoofbeat's $21. I would have thought around the other way, but anyway, we probably don't have all day to talk about that. Hoofbeat comes in with that solid 1,400 metre rating 72 form that you talk about. Final Say just hasn't really been able to dig that last 100. He's been disappointing. $21 Hoofbeat.
But he's a horse they always back too.
I know.
Which is not one you want to be backing.
They likely keep him safe, but $21 Hoofbeat.
Jim's Gift coming up from the deep south has been really good. Finding the line hard, which would suggest Riccarton's going to suit. Look, it's a wonderful even program for about 6 of the races there, and you can play decent odds. But I do think the short odds available for the 2 Team Rogerson horses with Chris Johnson, of those 2, you're thinking Gift of Power, the better hope than Contessa Vanessa?
I think so, $1.90, but I might even take a multi through both of them. Have a straight out bet on her. We each won Hoofbeat though. Warming to it, $21.
Like it, 21. Hey, have a great day punting at Riccarton tomorrow. Good to see Racing Deer back on the big track. They race about 3 of the next 6 Saturdays, so down there in Canterbury, some great racing to look forward to.